Today, I want to talk about something very near and dear to my heart, and that's the Standard Notes application. Primarily, it's a note taking application. And in the recent 48 hours, there's been a awesome development, at least in my opinion, and that is the acquisition of Standard Notes. Yeah, Standard Notes has been around for, quite a while, I believe 6 or 7 years now, as a very small team that's developing a privacy focused application. And we'll kind of dive into that in just a minute. But it was acquired by Proton. Proton is a leading provider in privacy based email, calendar, and now they offer, starting to kind of bolster other services onto their portfolio, which we'll also go through. But I want to talk about a little bit about my thoughts and what I feel the future would be for Standard Notes, especially for those that leverage Standard Notes today, but also newcomers that are now looking for a note taking application now that Proton is including them in their portfolio. So with that, Andy, who's the CEO of Proton, did announce that they did acquire Standard Notes, and really considering this as an open partnership. And I really like the stance that Proton is taking when they acquire these companies. Typically, what you might see during some form of acquisition and or merger is typically the company that's doing the acquiring, simply just wants the technology. You'll see that this company that would do the acquiring would technically either dismantle the technology and or just pretty much make it a worser product than it already is. I think, in my opinion, again, with Bending Spoons and Evernote, while they are trying their best to make the acquisition work for them, they're also, upsetting a lot of users in the direction that they're taking the product. But that's not what we're seeing from Proton. Proton is thinking about strategically about their which companies that they acquire, making sure that those companies align with the ethos that they're trying to uphold. And I think Standard Notes and Proton are very, best matched together. As we saw, they did acquire Simple Login, which I do use as well. This is a service to create aliases that then forward over to your primary inbox or inboxes. And they've kind of let them alone and let them grow on their own. And I think that Proton is going to be doing the same thing with Standard Notes. You can see here that from the actual blog post, we actually have some visibility now into how many users roughly leverage Standard Notes, roughly above 300,000 people. Again, I probably assume there's probably a lot more using less Standard Notes. But again, it's a very popular application, especially around privacy, especially around securing your notes and ensuring that only you have access to those notes via in encryption. And you can probably go ahead and watch one of my previous reviews on Standard Notes if you like to kind of catch up and understand in detail what it actually is and does. But I think this is a good match. Proton has been trying to fill the note void that they currently have in their portfolio of tools. And I think Standard Notes is going to be an awesome fill for that. The team, Mo and team behind Standard Notes are some pretty awesome people, pretty outgoing. They listen to their community. They're very active on Discord. And I think the ethos and the culture behind these two, you know, like companies are going to be great. And I'm really glad that Andy is really looking at this from as a partnership instead of an actual acquisition. And I think the Standard Notes team are going to bring a lot to the Proton team as well as to their community and filling this gap. So as we can see here, again, Andy kind of goes in detail. You all can read this on your own. This is on the Proton blog. But really just about my take on this. Again, I think given the history of acquisitions that Proton has made, I feel that Proton is going to be leaving Standard Notes alone. I'm sure there's going to be some future integration between the Proton stack and Standard Notes. Me being a Proton user as well, I'm hoping to actually see that. Reading from several comments online, on Reddit, on Twitter, or X now, I should say, there are a lot of users that are hoping that Proton is going to make Standard Notes, at least their paid offering, available to Proton Unlimited and paid users. And so I'm sure that will be coming down the line. But Andy has strictly called out that they're going to be, again, this is a partnership. Standard Notes is going to be moving forward as usual. They are going to be honoring themselves as a open source first company and still open sourcing not only the server side but also client side applications. but also honoring the current pricing and 5-year plans that users may already have with Standard Notes. Again, me being now a 10-year buy-in into Standard Notes as far as a subscription goes, that makes me very happy. I'm glad that Andy and team are wanting to honor all the existing ethos, promises, and pricing that Standard Notes has made. And so we'll go through, again, each product very high level just to give you understanding if you're new to both Proton and the Standard Notes. Standard Notes, again, is a end-to-end note-taking application. It starts off with your note-taking application locally installed or via a web browser or mobile. And the ethos is that pretty much your notes are always kept encrypted. They are encrypted on your device with your own key prior to being sent over to Standard Notes syncing servers. And so not even Standard Notes has access to your data. They've been audited several times from a security perspective. I feel that Standard Notes is very open about your data. So not only do they offer multiple different features, so as you can see here, wide range of use cases, but Standard Notes also allows you to carry multi-different editors within the Standard Notes application. So you can not only keep standard plain text, but you can store Markdown, you can store in plain text, you can store tasks and to-dos, code blocks, if you will, even secure spreadsheets, even manage two-factor authentication tokens. And so Standard Notes is a very wide and very also narrow, though, in scope, in giving you the flexibility to store really any type of note that you need in a very secure manner. And I think one of my favorite features, which I've called out in my review videos, is that Standard Notes ensures that your data is yours. They provide automated backups to your email, either daily or weekly, in an open JSON format that you can use to carry your data to a different note-taking application if you wish. But they also offer automated backups onto your local computer and or some other third-party cloud provider if you wish to have your backup stored there as well. Now, Proton is the makers of their primary product is Proton Mail, which gives you end-to-end encrypted email. This is great because, again, not even Proton has access to your email. Only your eyes, only you have access, and they really live by that. That like their sole purpose is to ensure that your data is fully protected even from them. Proton Calendar. This is an end-to-end encrypted calendar system, which does support other calendar types. So if you're worried about someone sending you a calendar from Google, Invite, or some other third-party like calendar service, Proton Calendar works pretty well there. I've been using it quite often. Proton Drive. This is the Google Drive competitor. If you want to look at in such a way, again, end-to-end encrypted. They now offer a desktop client to sync files into Proton Drive. I've been actually trying this out for the past few weeks and months. It's been pretty solid. They do release updates quite often on this. Then there comes Proton VPN. Again, that's just your standard VPN service. To my understanding, it is a no-log VPN, meaning that they do not log any form of IPs in which you're connecting from, which is great. And then there's Proton Pass. Again, this is in the likes of competing against such password managers like 1Password and or Bitwarden. And so the entire suite of Proton, again, is really focused on privacy and really protecting the customer's data. As you can see here, there is an open blank spot, and I'm assuming that this is where Standard Notes could be in the future. I'm actually hoping that there's some form of integration. But being a long-time Standard Notes user, I do care that that Standard Notes team does have somewhat of their own independence to kind of keep the app going in the direction that they want to see it going. But now with Proton being behind them, I'm assuming that they can now move forward and faster with their journey and what they see, or their vision. I would say their vision for Standard Notes. So I'm really excited to see that Proton and Standard Notes are coming together to really make this happen. The folks in Discord seem very happy, and I'm very happy. And I think we can only, see great things coming over the next coming months and years. And so that's my thoughts. Thought I would share that. Again, I think this is a very good sign. I think Proton is probably the best company to be positioned for Standard Notes, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Well, thank you for listening. If you have, any questions or thoughts that you want to share, please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know if you want to see more content from me as well. That way I know that I'm at least moving in the right direction. Thank you so much, and goodbye.